No justice. No justice. No justice. What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gonna stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom, let my people go, go. We gonna shine and shade. Give me a papa glory, make the heavens. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. Wade in the water, we did wade in the water, children.
Do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening. I'm excited, and you should be excited too. Turn on WBLS 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. I have a message for you, and if you want to, you can come to the House of Justice and be there live, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. We kick off at 9, and we don't stop until we deal with getting our people energized.
Rev, you know you were right there
From the beginning.
with the stuff that
Yep.
was going on in Brooklyn at
Yeah.
that time at
Yeah.
Howard Beach. You
Yeah.
were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, but I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. We've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene with yourself,
Yep.
Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now let me ask a question.
Yep.
What was your weight on that scene?
Probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair,
And
man.
you had the head on.
Yeah, it was.
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut, so we went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK. It's Thursday, December the 11th. Do you know what time it is? It's Al Sharpton's time. And for the next 3 hours, it's time to put aside all pretenses, deception, denial, or fronting. The time has come to Keep It Real on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. A very good afternoon to you all across the country. And good morning to our West Coast listeners. And welcome to those listening on Sirius XM, the Urban Sirius XM channel 126. I don't want to leave my channel out. The Urban View, where talk empowers and becomes action. Coming to you live from our National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York. And, of course, you can call in or you can go on our message board and send me a message. And you can go at www.nationalactionnetwork.net, www.nationalactionnetwork.net, or you can call in at 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Well, a lot to talk about and a lot to discuss. I see Bruce Turner's on saying, good trouble Thursday. Hello, Rev. Everybody needs to email the GOP congressman or senator and ask why they are allowing Trump to break the law. And I like that Trump is saying now that he has a tanker, that there's seizure of a Venezuela tanker, and that he's getting ready to address the press on it. He's really trying to get into Venezuela. Many of us think it's about oil. I don't know how you're going to Venezuela saying that drug dealing while you pardon the former president of Honduras, who was convicted of bringing tons of cocaine in the United States. You pardon him. We also see that there were the votes, counter votes on the health care plan. We're getting closer and closer and closer to them allowing the Affordable Care Act to expire, which means that our premiums are going to double, triple, and 23 million Americans will be impacted and probably lose their health insurance. Trump is saying that the economy is better than it ever was. Well, if it is that bad, why are prices going up and health care going out the window? So let's talk about all of that. Mayor Rodney Jones says, like, share, and subscribe. That is what you need to do. Mr. Mayor is right. And I see EHNDRAN saying anything except releasing the Epstein files. You know, it is very, very obvious that they're trying to do anything but let those files out. And absolutely ludicrous to me that the Republicans, or even some of them, are getting a little shaky on it. But most of them are still saying that they got to protect something, got to do something. That you can't just give the files out. What are you talking about? Barbara Jean saying Thursday afternoon greetings from Chicago. Glad to have you, Barbara Jean. I mean, it is the most insane logic. And I like this one. Cedric Cooper saying, 1 week you are saying you're a peacemaker, but the next week you are a pirate taking over ships and threatening other countries. I said the other day, right on this show, that Trump will probably try to make a move on Venezuela or something to try and, one, I think it's about the oil, but the other is to try and keep the Epstein stuff out of public view. They got everybody now that's going to look for some drug dealing in Venezuela or not, and leave the whole situation alone about the Epstein files. Vivian Denise says, watching from South Daytona, Florida, and he will say he will probably keep the oil. Yeah, with the oil tanker. But that's what I think they are after, Vivian. I think you are absolutely right. Absolutely right. And good afternoon, Reverend Sharp. The Happy Policy Thoughtful Day from James Thomas. And yes, we are going to definitely get into Policy Day. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is going to be a little late. She's traveling. I'm traveling tonight. But we're going to do Policy Day. I think that it is also important. The I had to laugh at this. With Happiness Donut says, have 50 Cent release the the Epstein file. I guess she talked about the documentary he did on Puffy. He had more tapes and interviews. Somebody asked me, I don't really try to get into a lot of the I call trash media. And somebody asked me, had I seen the documentary? I said, I've known Puffy or Diddy for years. He would come to some of our stuff. He was Puffy. And then when this stuff came out and I saw that video of him with that young lady, I said, wait a minute, I'm the father of 2 children. Friend of 4, I can't deal with that. So I would not go to the courthouse. I would not deal with it. So I said, all right, I'm going to watch it. I was going to Chicago last Thursday evening, and I put it in. It's 4 episodes. And I must admit, I was going to watch the first episode and then go to some other stuff, research I was doing. I like to, on airplanes, read a lot of books or hear the audio books. But I couldn't turn it off. It was well done. Maybe as they have some things in there that they feel are unfair, untrue, exaggerated. I don't know. But it was produced well. So it's very interesting. Very, very interesting. Patricia Carter saying Trump is trying to distract us from the full release of Epstein files. It won't work. And I agree. Was it Tamiko Terry said, I think he's a puppet. I think it's the people in the background that's really running everything, and the mascot, this dementia, is starting to become obvious. Well, let me say this, Tamiko. I have always felt, even when Trump was the president the first time, that you're right, that there are people that are guiding him, that are calling the shots. Because even when he was the president the first time, they say he wasn't reading policy books, he wasn't reading the briefings. He was not interested in any of that. So that's perfect for them, to have a guy that they know we're not checking, that wasn't deep into policy. They can go put anything in front of him, have him sign it. As long as he could act autocratic, I'm in charge, and I can be in the papers every day and on TV every night, he's fine. And they knew that. And that is why I think a lot of what you see is done by the crowd around him, Stephen Miller and all of them. And I think they're going to try and ride this out. I don't care how much he looks like he has dementia or, because they wrote Project 2025 to implement it. They wasn't writing nothing to just be writing nothing. They're going to implement it, and he is the vehicle to implement that. Let's be real clear. And I was on Morning Joe for a little while this morning and said every legislative gain that came out of the civil rights movement of the 60s and 70s, they've targeted to overturn voting rights, affirmative action, DEI, labor rights, And they've already ruled that you can do redistricting, which is undermining the Voting Rights Act. All they need to do now is take Section 2 out of the Voting Rights Act, and it's dead, period. They've already weakened it. And they are, with the anti-DEI, is really the Civil Rights Act, that you're not going to deal with everything on race, you're not going to compensate racial discrimination, that's affirmative action. So Trump is there to undermine everything that Dr. King and Fannie Heyman and others made law for us 1 or 2 generations away. Question is, and we had a national board meeting this morning of National Action Network, question is, are we going to sit by and let them do it? As for me, I'm not going to do that. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
And I think that is extremely important about the funding. But I also want to add how they're changing what can be taught. Yeah. You have states outright saying you can't teach Black history and you can't teach certain other histories and the curriculum. You have this administration that is literally taking out exhibits from the Smithsonian. So we have not only an education problem in terms of resources, we have an education problem in terms of curriculum and what people are being taught. So I have one grandchild, 6-year-old. When he gets to high school, it may be just against the law for him to learn about certain parts of American history, which includes Blacks. We want to talk about slavery. We want to talk about the good side of America. Well, what does that mean? That's not history. Everything was not good. And I think that that is the threat that we've got to fight, which is why we've got to fight with the courts and the streets, because they are literally changing the textbooks as we go. As they do that, they change the opportunities, because then the fight against affirmative action is not having access to these institutions and telling these institutions, this whole fight around DEI, in which they did DEI, started in Harvard with a Black woman president. Started with them saying you can't teach diversity in an Ivy League school like Harvard. It didn't start in Little Rock at the high school. This fight, this time, was Harvard. And they went from there on. And I think that we've got to have the same resistance. If they could fight in the 50s, that ACP would have been together and deal with the question from Little Rock in terms of desegregation, then we that are far more educated, far more economically secure personally, have no excuse in the age of what they did in Harvard not to be standing up back in this.
Come on. We've reduced a lot of our ministry to entertainment. Or who can hoop the loudest, who can run around the pulpit more, or who got the dresses fancy, and don't deal with the ministry. Jesus healed more people than he preached to. Because there is in the healing your message. They followed Jesus because he healed a woman with the issue of blood. They followed Jesus because Jesus saw a blind man named Bartimaeus. A lot of us would have dismissed him because he was a broke, poor, homeless, a blind man. How you know he was broke, Reverend? Because they say he was begging. But he understood what he was doing because he heard that Jesus was passing by. And when Jesus got close enough, he said, Jesus, son of David, Come see about me. They kept telling Jesus, let's go. Look, we got a schedule. We got people to see. He said it again. Jesus, son of David, come see about me. And when he did it the third time, Jesus stopped and went and healed the blind man. Now, what I get out of that scripture, Bishop Daughtry, is that the blind man told Jesus, if you are who you say you are, you're going to stop and see me. And if you stop and see me, you will confirm who you are. But when we are pastoring and leading in communities with bad health, we cannot be the followers and representatives of Jesus and walk by people that are sick and we not be part of making them well.
This is the first Thanksgiving I'm here in New York. Over 20 years. I'm just glad to be able to rep today and to hand out the food. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
It's Erica Ford, the Peace Doctor in the building. Here at the National Action Network, it's about thanks, it's about giving, it's about gratitude, it's about love. I feel it is important for you to understand that there's work out here to be done, but it starts with gratitude, it starts with giving, it starts with peace, it starts with love. Let's go.
Before we feed our family, we got to make sure that we feed the community. That's right. That's what it's all about. We have to come with Sharpton phones. You come and you make sure you show up, serve the community. That's what it's all about.
Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president. But we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're going to have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm going to keep marching. I'm going to keep agitating. And I'm going to keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time. Mariah, Chris, and your kids. And I promise you this. The only thing that I really live for is I get up. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I am your host, everyone. Reverend Al Sharpton. And let me remind you, all this going on, I shouldn't have to. Don't forget, don't even think about forgetting. Watching Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time this Saturday and Sunday. I have some specialists that are going to deal with what's really happening in Venezuela. I can't wait myself to get some of this. And as well as what we're going to deal with the countdown on the affordable health care and how we are dealing with the fact the Supreme Court has ruled that they are allowing the Republicans to maintain these redistricting lines that in many ways, in my view, undermines the black vote because they are cutting these districts around the black votes to protect their Republican incumbents. We're going to break all that down and have the people on in the Congress, in the Senate, on Politics Nation with Al Sharpton. It'll be live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNBC. You do not want to miss this weekend. You that are in the New York area, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally at the House of Justice in Harlem, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue in the Village of Harlem. Make sure you meet me there 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. on this Saturday morning, day after tomorrow. And then you that are not in the New York area, you can watch it live on Impact Television. And a lot going on. We had, as I said, a national board meeting of NAN. We got authorization from our board. We're moving forward with buying stock, going at these companies, and we're going to roll it out. We've done a lot of research. Some of the companies changed their dates in terms of stockholders meetings, so you will be kept abreast, but we're moving. And we're not going to let this DEI fight stop. They're marching today as I speak again in front of the offices of Bill Ackman. We haven't stopped, and we're not going to. All right, let's go to the phones, 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. And I like that Bruce Turner says on our message board, Captain Chaos keeps something up every day. That's a good subtitle for him, Captain Chaos. It is absolutely a great, great way to describe him. He masters in chaos, masters in distractions. Have you follow this shiny object over here so you don't see what he's really doing over here? Obviously, that's his plan. And obviously, we need to be wiser than that. All right, let's go to the phones. 1-877-532-5797, 1-877-532-5797. Let's go to Disco Brian in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, WURD.
Hey, Rev.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I hear you, Brian.
Realizing the house of... Hey, Rev?
Yes.
Are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, my God. Thank you. I want to apologize for living in New York City for a decade and never realizing that the House of Justice had an open door the entire time I was there. Rev, I always assumed you and your beloved community were as inaccessible as all the other people who host TV shows on the internet and TV. Today, Rev, if you'll allow it, I want to give a 2-minute version of how I ended up believing progressive leftism was an anti-racist social justice project, and then ask my question. Can I do that, Rev?
Go ahead.
When I was a kid, my moral imagination was shaped by black culture. My MAGA dad actually introduced me to Michael Jackson moonwalking on the 25th Motown anniversary special. And my maternal grandmother was an anti-racist. Her name is Sylvia Calvalage. And her daughters raised me on R&B and disco. And then my stepbrother, Ben Dewar, introduced me to Prince, and that changed my life forever. From age 14 on, I was a radio DJ. I worked my way up to K-Rock in New York City in 1998, Howard Stern's flagship. And on the way there, I kept getting fired from white alternative rock stations because I kept breaking format. I would sneak in Prince B-sides and KRS and Wu-Tang and Billie Holiday. I was trying to integrate the playlists and bring consciousness into those white rock spaces. And the program directors, Rev, they loved my energy, but they did not want black music or that wokeness on those white radio frequencies. And after K-Rock fired me for making a joke about Howard, which I intended in the same loving way you play with Tony on Saturdays, Rev, I decided I wanted to get serious about politics. And I thought I could be the progressive answer to Rush Limbaugh. But I knew that I didn't know nearly enough about what I wanted to teach my audience. So prior to my formal university education, I went up to Woods Hole, Massachusetts, to something called the Z Media Institute. Noam Chomsky was the keynote every night there, Rev. He'd talked for 3 or 4 hours, and the 200 of us treated him like the king of kings. Nobody challenged him. And I remember thinking when I was there as a 23-year-old, I said, in my heart, I said, this feels like a cult. But I overrode my gut, and I let Democracy Now! And Amy Goodman and Naomi Klein and that whole world of independent progressive leftists shape my 23-year-old brain. Fast forward to now, Rev, we find out that that same sage of the left, Mr. Noam Chomsky, was in a friendly relationship with Jeffrey Epstein a decade after Epstein's conviction, emailing him in 2015 and 2016, calling the relationship, quote, a most valuable experience, even letting Epstein move money for him. And now we've got video, Rev, of Noam Chomsky as an old white intellectual in 2020 actually saying the N-word out loud on a podcast to make one of his political correctness points, and then a younger left-wing star like Hassan Piker laughing it off as just, quote, what white philosophers do. And then last year, Rev, I'm concluding, on Bernie Sanders' own YouTube channel, AOC tells a cute story about talking to Congressman Shuey Garcia, saying that the progressive
Wait a minute.
Bernie...
Let me take my break, and I'll give you 1 minute on the other side of the break. 1 minute on the other side of the break. Keeping it real. Sharpton. Be right back.
Knew love like this before, 'cause I never knew love like this before.
Sounds so good. That was beautiful. Thank you, everyone. I am humbled and grateful to be here with you tonight. I love you too. I love you too. It seems like I've known Reverend Al Sharpton all my life. My mom was such a fan of his, and I've seen him through my life in LA at MCA Records. When I was there, he'd come through, and get those people straight about our contracts and talk about that. And I haven't been honored a lot. Maybe this is my second time, and I'm 68 years old. And I've been in this business my entire life. I've never done what you would call a real job. But I am truly honored, and I'm thankful, and I love us. I love my black people. And I fight for us, and I want the women, the black women, to really know their worth. Know that they're queens. That's important to me. That's how my mother raised me. My mother was militant, I guess, when it wasn't trendy, yes. Because when I was a little girl, my mother and father would drive in Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn, Bed-Stuy, do or die. And when she would see police officers handling black children or a black boy or a girl, she would have my father stop and say, she'd get out of the car and she'd say, "What's going on here? Wait a minute, what you doing?" All the time. So it's natural that I'm that way because I'm so tired of seeing our black men beaten with handcuffs. They have handcuffs on. That's important to me. That's my fight. I want love in this world. We're living in some, I love you, I love you. I never knew love like this before. I can't sing because we just finished doing 3 shows back to back. And I flew in this morning, and because Reverend Al wanted me to sing home. There's no way I could sing home, but okay. When I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing. I wish I was home. I wish I was back there with the things I've been knowing. When that makes us tall grass bend into leaning, suddenly the raindrops that fall have a meaning. Sprinkling the sea makes it all clean. But thank you. Thank you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. I love you. I love you with my life.
Stephanie Mills. No justice, no justice, no justice. What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gonna stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my people go, go. We never shine at the shade. Give me a papa God rain, make the heavens. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. Wade in the water, we did wade in the water.
Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star. You're the central figure in your life. What you decide is what is the major thrust of your life. And others may contribute, impact, affect, but it's your life that you're central in. So stop trying to lay the weight of what you do or don't do on others. That weight is squarely on your shoulders and in your hand. And if you want to defer and give your life choices to others, that smart. If they have any sense at all, they would be so busy trying to conduct and properly guide their life, they would not have time to try to major in your life. Oh, do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening. I'm excited, and you should be excited too. Turn on WBLS 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. I have a message for you, and if you want to, you can come to the House of Justice and be there live, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. We kick off at 9, and we don't stop until we deal with getting our people energized. You're live. Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to Brian in Philadelphia. Brian.
Yes, Rev. So my last year, as I was finishing up there, talking about Noam Chomsky and his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein and his usage of the N-word in 2020, and him being a hero of the left. Last year, on Bernie Sanders' own YouTube channel, AOC was being interviewed by Bernie and tells a cute story about talking to Congressman Chuy Garcia, saying that the Progressive Caucus, which Bernie founded, basically started as a, quote, little Noam Chomsky book club. So my question, Rev, is this. As someone whose conscience was shaped by black music and black struggle, I am trying to reconcile how the heroes of the white left, like Chomsky, and then the Bernies and AOCs who worshipped him, can preach about exploitation and racism while cozying up to a child sex trafficker or friend of a child sex trafficker who casually drops the N-word in theory talk. When, Rev, does the left ever face accountability for that?
Well, it's a great question. You thank you for your call. I mean, I think Brian raises questions that need to be answered. I certainly am not even going to attempt to answer them. I've not had that kind of relationship with them to the degree that I could even attempt to answer. And I think that there are those that wonder why people like Brian, who were and are progressive, are questioning them, would break ranks. And there are those that, like me, are saying, you got to play the game by one set of rules. You cannot hold the conservative right accountable and not hold those on the left accountable. And if there's nothing wrong, then fine. Say that, but don't duck the questions. I think he's right there. Mayor Rodney Jones is saying, I could be wrong, but the signs and symptoms say to me that Trump has sleep apnea. Okay. I don't know what the signs are, but he's got something. Akeem Smith is saying, Reverend Sharpton, did you hear Trump yesterday calling Somalia and Somalian people trash and garbage? Yeah, not only did I hear him say it wasn't just yesterday, it was over the weekend. I dealt with it on Politics Nation that night and will continue to say, because all of this is coming from a place of racism. I said this morning again on Morning Joe, he would say this about African countries, but he went a step further. He says, why don't they send us countries from good countries like Norway and Sweden, mostly white populated countries? He's not leaving no chance for you to guess. There's not going to be that you might have got it wrong. No, send us some white folks, he's saying. It's go to Ozzy in Cincinnati, Ohio. Ozzy.
All right, my bishop. Um, I'm going to ring the bell for reparations because we don't get what we should be getting. When you think that President Trump has, in his time in office, 4 years, and now this year, I believe he has given $32 billion to farmers. The last time when he gave $20 billion, it was because of the tariff. Now he's doing them a favor again of $12 billion because of the tariff. And so that they feel a little bit of pain, this Congress and the White House feel they should recoup part of their money.
Interesting.
We are still catching hell in this country and have been. It's been 500 years since Europeans went into Africa. And we're not reimbursed for none of our pain, none of our suffering. And I believe now that it is because too many of us refuse to make demands upon the party that's supposed to help us by demanding reparations. When I talked to Dominique the other day, she said, she disagreed with me because she said that the Democratic Party has come up with these ideals about blacks being entrepreneurs, homeowners, education. I'd say that in order to be an entrepreneur, we need money. In order to become homeowners, we need money. In order to go to school, we need money from when a baby is an infant, in order for him or that child to be able to learn. And so,
well, let me ask you a question, Ozzy. Let me ask you a question. So, if during steps that you were saying, Dominique said, I didn't hear it. I was traveling. You're saying that you feel the only form of reparations ought to be what?
Financial.
And tell me what. All right, break down the finances. If you want every black person, they say it's about 35 million of us in the country. Every black person, 35 million, should get what?
Well, let's divide up $32 billion and see how much that gives us, because certainly.
Wait a minute, you're going to divide 32 billion with 35 million.
Let's start there.
No, I asked you what would be reparations. I want, if I were to go to the U.S. Congress and the Senate, and we've gone with these reparation packages with Sheila Jackson Lee and all, but I want to go with Ozzy's plan. And I say, I want y'all to do Ozzy's plan for reparations. You can't say I want to start there. You got to say, this is what we want, start to finish. What is that?
What? You can start with I'll say no less than $20,000 for every descendant of a slave in this country, and we can say up to 50 to 75, 100, $300,000.
All right. First of all, if they gave me $20,000, I'd give it back to them. Second of all, I think that you got as much chance as getting somebody. We cannot get them through health care. So there's not going to be a day you're going to see that they're going to vote, even give us $20,000 for every black person in America. Now, I'm not saying we are not owed it a lot more. I'm talking about what we can do. So my position, I'm not disagreeing with you the way you say Dominique did. What I'm saying is, I want to fight for something that I know we can do. We can sit and sell wolf tickets all we want. You know, and I know they are not going to give us no $20,000 for every black person in the country. Let's quit playing with our people. That's not going to happen.
But they give it They're giving $12,000 to farmers.
They're not giving $12,000 a farm. They're giving a lump sum that farmers are going to have to come and qualify to come into their farms. And they're not doing it as reparations, and they're not saying we're giving every farmer $20,000. I'm repeating what you said. Give every black person $20,000. You know and I know it's not going to happen.
Well, how do we know it's not going to happen?
Because it's not going to. All right, then fine. I tell you what. I'm telling you it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. There's no legislation in the world that is going to get through the U.S. Congress and the U.S. Senate that we're going to give every black person $20,000. I do not believe that. I believe that we can. No, I believe we should get reparations, but I don't believe the reparations the way you outlined it is something that's feasible that we can get. I do not believe that.
But what we're going to do is elect people back into Congress to represent us so that they can get six-figure salaries for doing what they're doing, which doesn't help the majority of black people who, especially in this economy right now.
And I say that's nonsense. Absolute nonsense. You have black people in the Congress that got us the Affordable Care Act that helped black people. You got black people in Congress that, wait a minute. You got black people in Congress that got us the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, that got us the ending of stop and frisk. Did they do everything I want to see them do? No. But to say they did absolutely nothing for black folks, I think is ludicrous. Why do we have to down black people to make our point? You're going to tell me that black people in Congress that got through those things did nothing, but you're going to give me a pipe dream that white folks in Congress are going to vote to give us $20,000 a person. That's why I call it keeping it real. Let's be real. You going in the same conversation say that the Affordable Care Act didn't matter, that all of what they didn't matter, but you going to tell them that the same people that didn't do nothing is going to give to every black person in the country $20,000. And I think you talking realistic. Let's go to the next call. I mean, come on, Ozzy. That makes no sense. I want reparations in a bad way, but I want a package that we can get. And I don't have to condemn every black in Congress to get it. I think a lot of blacks in Congress did nothing. Some did and got some things through. We need that plus reparations. And we need reparations in a way that we can get them and that will repair us for generations to come. Giving me $20,000 don't help my grandson, less known me. So that's nonsense as far as I'm concerned. Thank you for your call. I mean, we talk. A lot of folks like to get on radio and just talk and make no thinking about what they're saying. Black folk in Congress getting six figures, so you're going to condemn the black folk in Congress, but you want them to get you $20,000 per black. And the biggest argument you're going to have, well, who's black? Because this guy got white blood in him, so he ain't black. I mean, come on. When are we going to stop this and hold on to the things we can hold on to and build the things we can achieve? Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. That's what I do. Sharpton, that's my name.
Democratic presidential candidate, Reverend Al Sharpton.
Thank you. Tonight, I want to address my remarks in two parts. One, I'm honored to address the delegates here. Last Friday, I had the experience in Detroit of hearing President George Bush make a speech. And in the speech, he asked certain questions. I hope he's watching tonight. I would like to answer your questions, Mr. President. To our chairman, our delegates, and all that are assembled, we're honored and glad to be here tonight. I'm glad to be joined by supporters and friends from around the country. I'm glad to be joined by my family, Kathy, Dominique, who will be 18, and Ashley. We are here 282 years after, right here in Boston, we fought to establish the freedoms of America. The first person to die in the Revolutionary War is buried not far from here, a black man from Barbados named Crispus Attucks. 40 years ago, in 1964, Fannie Lou Hamer and the Mississippi Freedom Democratic Party stood at the Democratic Convention in Atlantic City, fighting to preserve voting rights for all Americans and all Democrats regardless of race or gender. Hamer's stand inspired Dr. King's March in Selma, which brought about the Voting Rights Act of 1965. 20 years ago, Reverend Jesse Jackson stood at the Democratic National Convention in San Francisco, again appealing to preserve those freedoms. Tonight, we stand with those freedoms at risk and our security as citizens in question. I have come here tonight to say the only choice we have to preserve our freedom at this point in history is to elect John Kerry, the President of the United States. I stood with both John Kerry and John Edwards over 30 occasions in debates during the primary season. I narrated them, I watched them, I observed their deeds, I looked into their eyes. I am convinced that they are men who say what they mean and mean what they say. I am also convinced that at a time when a vicious spirit in the body politic of this country that attempts to undermine America's freedoms, our civil rights, our civil liberties, we must leave this city and go forth and organize this nation for victory for our party and John Kerry and John Edwards in November. But let me quickly say, this is not just about winning an election. It's about preserving the principles on which this very nation was founded. Look at the current view of our nation worldwide as a result of our unilateral foreign policy. We went from unprecedented international support and solidarity on September 12, 2001, to hostility and hatred as we stand here tonight. We can't survive in the world by ourselves. How did we squander this opportunity to unite the world for democracy and to commit to the global fight against hunger and disease? We did it with a go-it-alone foreign policy based on flawed intelligence. We were told that we were going to Iraq because there were weapons of mass destruction. We lost hundreds of soldiers. We spent $200 billion at a time we had record state deficits. And when it became clear that there were no weapons, they changed the premise for the war and said, no, we went because of other reasons. If I told you tonight to let's leave the fleet center, we're in danger. And when you get outside, you ask me, Reverend Al, what is the danger? And I say, it don't matter, we just needed some fresh air. I have misled you, and we were misled. We are also faced with the prospect of, in the next 4 years, that 2 or more Supreme Court justices' seats will become available. This year, we celebrated the anniversary of Brown versus the Board of Education. This court has voted 5-4 on critical issues of women's rights and civil rights. It is frightening to think that the gains of civil and women's rights and those movements in the last century could be reversed if this administration is in the White House in these next 4 years. I suggest to you tonight that if George Bush had selected the court in '54, Clarence Thomas would have never got to law school. This is not about a party. This is about living up to the promise of America. The promise of America says we will guarantee quality education for all children and not spend more money on metal detectors than computers in our schools. The promise of America guarantees health care for all of its citizens and doesn't force seniors to travel to Canada to buy prescription drugs they can't afford here at home. The promise of America provides that those who work in our healthcare system can afford to be hospitalized in the very beds they clean up every day. The promise of America is that government does not seek to regulate your behavior in the bedroom, but to guarantee your right to provide food in the kitchen. The issue of government is not to determine who may sleep together in the bedroom. It's to help those that might not be eating in the kitchen. The promise of America is that we stand for human rights, whether it's fighting against slavery in the Sudan. But right now, Joe Madison and others are fasting around what is going on in Sudan.
Live from the National Action Network corporate headquarters in New York.
The promise of America is
Where injustice goes, he follows.
30 years ago, Yusuf Hawkins was a young 16-year-old brother killed for being in a white neighborhood in Brooklyn. I got stabbed in one of those marches.
Keeping it real with America's #1 civil rights leader, the Reverend Al Sharpton.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Or go on our message board at nationalactionnetwork.net. And let me read some of our messages. It says the Tanya Stovall says a lot of people voted for Trump hoping for a non-existent check. which will never come. And that's what I'm saying. I don't believe in delusional politics. And I think we need to talk about what is realistic and what is not realistic. And I think y'all took them off the board. Someone said that we have in Chicago 30%. Okay, yeah, it is. Brian Goldberg says Chicago is 30% black, has a black mayor, many black officials. Nowhere in the world blacks in Chicago should be suffering the way they are. Absolutely right. And that is why we need to put people in office that will support an agenda that will benefit blacks and everybody else in Chicago, and that has to be reinforced by who's in the state offices and the federal offices. So you cannot talk about Chicago without talking about the state of Illinois, without talking about the United States of America. So, for example, part of the problem in Chicago, Mr. Goldberg, is gun violence. There's no gun manufacturing companies in Chicago. They don't make guns in Chicago. They are trafficked in. And we cannot get the federal government and we cannot get the federal prosecutors to make certain types of guns illegal. We can't even get the automatic weapons made illegal. That's one problem. Second, we cannot get the funding. They have defunded a lot of the issues that had Chicago on a road toward progress. So I absolutely agree with you. Just having blacks in office, if we're not putting others in office, white or black, state or federal, is not going to get the job done. I think that is absolutely correct. The other thing is we're at the end of 2025. Brandon Johnson just came in 2023. And I think that he is trying to manage the city. I didn't expect that he would do it overnight. I thought he could be a mayor. I didn't think he could walk on water. And he came in at a time that Trump has come in, invaded that city with ICE agents and other things. This is before he wanted to bring in the National Guard. They have tried to have that city under siege since Johnson got in. And now you're asking, why hasn't Johnson delivered a miracle? Why haven't they left Johnson alone? So I'm glad you wrote it so I can answer it. Nicola DeMarco in Tacoma, Washington. Good afternoon, Reverend Nan family. While 7 million came out for No Kings Day in October, we should build on that. And I think the organizers should strategize with Rev. You know, I've been talking. That's a very, very good point. I've been talking consistently with Randy Weingarten, who's part of that No Kings March apparatus. And we're talking about doing some big things throughout the whole year of next year as we go into midterm elections. Let me give you an example, which also answers, I think his name was Goldberg on the tag. If Hakeem Jeffries becomes the Speaker of the House of Representatives, which he will be if the Democrats take the majority of the House, and given the election of a Democrat, the first in 30 years in Miami day before yesterday, given what we saw on Election Day, the sweep in Ohio, the vote in California, and Zoran here in New York, it is within reach, if you can keep that momentum going 11 months, that the Democrats can take the House. Democrats take the House. The Speaker of the House then can, each committee, Judicial Committee, Commerce, Foreign Affairs, Intelligence, will have Democrat majority with chairs of each one of those committees. Then they can put forward the legislation to make law and to correct the laws that was removed or changed. That's how it's done. How did Trump and them stop things? They got in office, and he says, executive order, no DEI. This is not magic, and it's not complicated. The same way they are changing laws and dealing with executive orders, we can do the same if we get in those positions. That's why I don't tolerate people talk about, well, all that don't matter. If it doesn't matter, then why are they able to do it? So either you're not looking at the facts or you're trying to tamp down people doing what they need to do with misinformation. Undeniable that they are getting done what they said in Project 2025. But we've got so cynical, or we working with the other side, we say, oh, no, we don't need a plan and we don't need to vote. That's how they got their plan enacted, and they're doing it right now because they voted. So it has to, I have to ask a question, are we really thinking this through, or is there somebody else having propaganda put through? Because it don't make sense to me. 1-877-532-5797. Let me spell it, EHNDRSN 2736. Some of y'all's handles are not easy to pronounce, so I'll just spell it out. But anyway, they write, DeSantis and Abbott shipped undocumented immigrants to the north. Then Trump sent ICE to the north to arrest these immigrants. Make it make sense. Hey, I think that's true. And they're not exaggerating there. They literally flew immigrants north. Literally. Yeah, make it make sense. Happiness Donut says misinformation. Hopefully these big time media mergers don't go through. You got that right. I think that it is absolutely a real threat to democracy, to the level of democracy we have, because we don't have real democracy. If they can, if Trump is able to intimidate as he is to take over CBS, they have MAGA guys over it, Ellison. And now if he can also have Paramount bow to his wishes in order to get what they want over Charter, and they would therefore own CNN. Then he'd have CNN and Fox as right-wing propaganda. That would leave MS Now, formerly MSNBC, is the only one that would try to have both sides or even handle the thought process coming from some of us that are more progressive. That is where we are at. That is what we're about to face. And that's just about as serious as you can get. Let's go. Is this Christine?
Yes.
Christine in Manhattan, New York.
Reverend Al,
Yeah.
thanks for taking my call. And I listen. I listen every day. And I called and said I agree with Audrey. I want my reparations too. I did the walk with you on Wall Street. I was at the meeting when all the people you had down at, and I'm trying to remember where it was, but you interviewed all the people that were running for president and asked them questions. And Bernie Sanders was the only one that said he didn't believe in reparations. I think I'm right.
You're right. I had every presidential candidate there. I asked every one of them would they support a bill for reparations, and every one of them said they would, from Kamala Harris to Cory Booker to Pete Buttigieg, all of them. The only one that said they wouldn't was Bernie Sanders. That is correct.
Right. And and like I say, I think, well, listen, I'm a year older than you. I haven't done as much as I probably should have done in this country. And I know when the person that started talking about reparations that you had to prove that you were somebody was born in Africa. I can't prove that I was born in Africa, but I can prove that my grandfather was born in 1888 in North Carolina. And then my father was born and my grandfather worked on the railroad. And I think it's a way that you can go back into your history and put everything together, and people should start talking about what this country owed them. And I want to...
Hold on 1 minute. I'm going to hold you over so you can finish your point. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. 1-877-532-5797. Sharpton, keeping it real. Be right back.
But the fact of the matter is, Rosa Parks was not only the mother of the modern civil rights movement, she was the mother of this nation. Why would you say that, Sharpton? Because you called George Washington the father of the nation, but when he became father, we wasn't included in the nation. Women were not included in the nation. The first time we had a parent in this nation is when all of us was included, and Rosa Parks did that on December 1st, 1955. I heard somebody say Jim Crow is who she fought, and Jim Crow is still around. But Jim Crow is old. That's not who I'm mindful of today. The problem is Jim Crow has sons. The one we got to battle is James Crow Jr. Esquire. He's a little more educated. He's a little slicker. He's a little more polished. But the results are the same. He doesn't put you in the back of the bus. He just puts referendums on the ballot to end affirmative action when you can't go to school. He doesn't call you, erase your name. He just marginalizes your existence. He doesn't tell you that he's set against you. He sets up institutional racism, where you have a nation respond looking for weapons in Iraq that are not there, but can't see a hurricane in Louisiana that is there. James Crow Jr. Esquire. That's who we got to fight. And if we are to win, if we are to really memorialize Rosa Parks, she would tell us to do in the generation of his son what she and Dr. King did to his daddy. They didn't talk a fight, they fought the fight. They didn't show up at funerals, they showed up on the picket line and the march line and the jailhouse. It amazes me that we sit there acting like we don't have work to do. And that many of us in our own community are mocking her memory. They formed a movement when they had none of what we got. You realize that Dr. King and Dr. Abernathy and them formed a boycott after Rosa Parks, where people stayed off the bus for a year, went to rallies every night, and they never had email, never had a cell phone, never could go online. Here you got 2 cell phones in your pocket, emails, computers at the house, and can't even get a block association meeting together. We got so much more that they gave us, and we're doing so much less with it. They went to vote when people were threatening their lives. Medgar Evers was shot dead in his driveway. Left 3 children inside that never knew how it was to have a father in their adult years. Died to give us the right to vote. Pregnant women marched through the streets of Birmingham. They sick police dogs on them to give us the right to vote. 4 little girls bombed in a church in Birmingham, Alabama to give us the right to vote. And here you are 40 years later in Detroit, Michigan. No dogs biting you, no bombs going off, no bullets, too lazy and ungrateful. Making mockery of her memory. Making mockery of her memory. Nobody should have to beg you to vote. Nobody should have to beg you to stand up and protect the rights that they died and suffered to give us. You can't take care of one thing on the ballot in Michigan when they had to change the laws of all 50 states. You complaining about one referendum when they did a whole revolution and never fired one shot. And then you turn it around on each other. Why do I want my daughters to visit that stone? Because I want them to know black women are not hoes. You have music companies selling misogynist records to our children. Black womanhood was Rosa Parks sitting in dignity. She wasn't break dancing. She wasn't talking about pimp me out. She made the world respect her people. So I want to thank Reverend Jackson and Mrs. Jackson and others that taught us a little younger who Rosa was, and we got to pass that on. Now I want to challenge everybody here today that when we leave here, you ought to make a Rosa resolution. You ought to make one commitment in her name to yourself. That you won't either join some organization or you won't stand for some policy. You ought to make a Rosa resolution. You ought to resolve that you're going to do something that'll make a difference because we're here because she made a difference. Most people come and go and we never come to say goodbye because their hellos didn't mean anything to us. But we're here because she touched every one of us. And we need to make a Rosa resolution. I said to some of the young rappers the other day, talking to me about, well, you get on us about calling women out their names. I said you need to come and know the story of a dignified woman. They make the excuse, Mayor Kilpatrick said, well, you know, we love Aretha and that generation, but we just kick it like we see it. We just mirrors that reflect what we see. But there's something strange about that. I use a mirror every morning. But I don't get up out the bed, hair all over my head, sleep around my eyes, slobber around my mouth, walk outside talking about I'm going to keep it real. Mirrors are not only to reflect what you see, mirrors are to correct what you see. You need to make a Rosa resolution that we're going to correct what we see. We're going to keep the fight going. And we're going to have James Crow Jr. Esquire know that we are the children of those that change the world. My Rosa resolution is they won't have no rest until we finish the fight. Wherever I see an injustice, I'm going to stand up. If I can't stand up, I'm going to speak out. And if I can't speak out, I'm going to do like a Rosa. I'm going to get me a chair and just sit in the way. All over the world today, people are gathered in love vigils to celebrate the life of a man that taught the world how to love. People may be wondering why there's such...
Keeping it real. Keeping it real. Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. We're back. Let's go back to Christine in Manhattan. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, you're back on.
Hi, Reverend. Yes, I was saying about the reparations, and I think it's the way, everything is documented. My husband was in the Army. When I married him in 1975, 1976, we moved to Fort Hamilton, and I realized then that everything he did was documented by the federal government, by the Army. That's how they got promotions, and that's how they went from place to place. Everything was documented. Even though I was working before, I didn't realize that because my job I just went to work. I didn't think about I had to go TDY maybe next week, but he did. So I watched him work and how he got promoted. When I married him, he was a sergeant. You have to take exams. You have to, of course, you always have to do PT and all that. And how you get promoted is whatever the Army say you have to do. That's the same. And we could set up something like that for the reparations. I think about my family. I mean, we did family reunions. We did, and we documented everything. I have documentations that my grandmother, Zipporah Creola Davis, was born. Well, she died in 1923. And we have all the aunts and uncles, the dates of birth and everything. If we did reparations, asking for reparations, if we got together as a group, let's say we use the National Action Network, and everyone went in there that can prove, well, no, I don't know about proving that you're black. You have a birth certificate. On your birth certificate, mine said Negro. And my mother and father and the date I was born is on that birth certificate. And we could document it and just come together and start thinking about what we have done in this country. And they owe us. They owe us because we did work here. And I want to take some of the reparations from my husband. He did 2 tours in Vietnam. They owe him, but he is in Arlington National Cemetery. So I will always fight for reparations for him and me. I'm going to stand with you, and I think it can be done. Reverend Al?
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think I'm listening to you. I think that obviously I support and I always have reparations. I think it can be done, and I think it has to be done in a way that it is something that compensates for the brutality and mass killing and the building of the economy of this country that we never got paid for, that can impact us for generations, because it was generations of us that were enslaved. That's why I say, don't give me no $20,000. You had several generations of Africans enslaved. And then you had several generations that had to live under Jim Crow laws. So let us have a thorough, far-reaching reparations that restores us to where those long gaps in history are set to we can become up to equal status. That may take 2 or 3 generations, but it's not going to take writing some check. And it's going to take a lot of investment of dollars and resources for it to be just reparations, as far as I'm concerned. But it was zillions of dollars that they made from the free labor. So blacks came to this country 1619 enslaved, slave trade. The country didn't even proclaim itself independent until 1776. So we were enslaved from the 1600s over 200 years later before they even proclaimed the country independent. We were enslaved while they were still under King George. So you got to count all of that and then get to the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863. And then after that, 100 years of Jim Crow to 1954. All of that's got to be compounded. Now, that is not going to be writing everybody a check. That's going to be really doing things that can include our making money. But you've got to have a whole societal payment of the debt because it was a multiracial societal aggression. Otherwise, what are you paying for? And I think that we need to be very, very careful and thorough about how we deal with this issue. I see Happiness Donut says, how will our brothers locked down in penitentiary get their checks? Yeah, that's right. Well, I mean, there's too many ways around that. I think they love the idea. James Mitchell says the struggle against Jim Crow began in 1896. Thank God our ancestors didn't throw their hands up, but kept fighting, or we would still be a segregated nation. When they came with Plessy versus Ferguson, that made the official law segregation. It was not changed until 1954. Which if you go, that's 58 years they fought before they turned those laws around. And then they had to go many years beyond that to even have the laws enforced. So we never stopped fighting. Some fought one way, some had a different way, some had one priority, others had a different, but we never had a generation that there were not some of us fighting. And that's what we should continue now. And, Tanaqua Wimberly is saying if they gave us checks, will that really bring us together? Well, that's why I say it's got to be institutional in society. You're right, because first of all, if they gave every one of us a check, we go put it in a white bank and go shopping. White banks would make big money because of all those deposits. I mean, let's think out what we're talking about. Let's go to Pat in Ohio. Pat, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Yeah. Yes, good afternoon, Reverend Sharpton. My name's Pat, and I'm from Ohio. I haven't spoke to you in a while. I just got out of the hospital, and I just happened to listen to the conversation about reparations. And I've been hearing about that, Reverend Al, for a very, very long time. And I had spoke to you before. I don't know if you remember speaking to me or not. I saw you when you were here for Timothy Thomas's funeral, so that might give you an indication as far as me being on the front line. But I agree with you. If you gave everyone a check, they would probably do something with it. But as far as reparations go, I think people are due reparations.
Absolutely.
Every other person who has been harmed, I don't care what it's for, they get a check, and they don't apologize for it. In fact, it's some people that are here now that are foreigners that are getting a check. How do I know that? Because one of the foreigners schooled me. Imagine that. I've been here all my life in the U.S., yet I had to hear from a foreigner about them receiving a check. So why shouldn't black people say, if they can prove or have documentation that they have been harmed, me being one of them, that yes, we want our money. And you're hearing it from me. I don't mean to stop your show, Reverend Al, but I had to weigh in. Like I said, I was sick for a while. And I don't know, I thank God. He must have left me here for a reason, because I could have been out of here. But he was like, no. I think you got a purpose. You got a voice. You got a story. And I think that's how, like I said, I'm not saying I got the blueprint, because I don't. It's been other ancestors before us who have had the blueprint. But what I will say is that every one of us has a story. We just have to connect the dots to those stories. And that's why, even though I was sick today, I had to listen in on your show, and I had to call in. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity to get my voice out there. And I hope that real soon in the future that we will be able to do something, whether it's your network or whether it's another network. But at the end of the day, I want to be on record as that those families who have been harmed, namely me and others, yes, we are due that. And I hope you will rally around.
I think that, thank you for your call. I think that all of us have been harmed in some degree. And I think it has to be a comprehensive plan. And I think that, yes, there are foreigners getting checks, but they're not getting checks that represent the extent of the harm we suffered. So they can easily get a check. But I'm not letting them off that easy. Let's take a break, be right back. Keeping them real. Keeping it real. Sharpton, be right back.
It's been a long time coming, but I know
1968, Dr. Martin King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
Because I have a dream today.
They can't kill the dreamer.
democracy. That's what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
It's the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock
we gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street. No just stand still. No just stand still. No just stand still. What do we want? What do we want?
We are the sons and the daughters. We gotta stand up and make it loud. Just like our God told the Pharaoh, let my people go, go. We are a new generation from the ones who have come before. He's calling us into freedom. Let my people go, go. We're gonna shine and the shade. Give me a papa glory, make the heavens. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. The blood, sweat, and the tears that we gathered through the years. If you don't say you know what trouble, let my people go, go. Wade in the water, we didn't wade in the water, children.
I would argue that DEI is a result of those that by law and later by enforcement would not deal with diversity, would not deal with including people of color, gender, sexual orientation, as well as disabled. And the conscious effort by government and the private sector to begin to equalize the opportunities of this country was something that makes it more humane and fair for all of us. To DEI diversify is not based on the lack of merit. We could not show our merit because we were extremely accomplished conservatives that talk about we want a society based on merit. Well then, if it's based on merit, then why did you discriminate based on race and gender? Until they cut off much of the population and then had merit between white males. That was what they meant, not merit. Let's have real merit, but let's also make up the ground that those of us with merit was not able to compete. Stop going through your life like you are a co-star or a bit player in your own drama. No, you are the main star. You're the central figure in your life. What you decide is what is the major thrust of your life. And others may contribute, impact, affect, but it's your life that you're central in. So stop trying to lay the weight of what you do or don't do on others. That weight is squarely on your shoulders and in your hand. And if you want to defer and give your life choices to others, that's on you. If they have any sense at all, they will be so busy trying to conduct and properly guide their life, they will not have time to try to major in your life.
Hello, New Orleans. Let me tell you straight. They did not think we could come and be here tonight. They cut budgets and advertising. But one black man, Rich Newton, said, I don't care. My families come together every 4th of July weekend, and Essence will happen, because that's who we are. Give a big hand to Rich Newton for bringing us back. Why
it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797, or you can go on our message board at nationalactionnetwork.net live stream. We joined as we are every Thursday for our Policy Day by the CEO of the Protestant Welfare Agencies in New York City, as well as the Vice Chairman of the National Board of the National Action Network. We had a board meeting this morning, National Board, people from all over the country make up our board. She's on the road, got stuck in travel road, but she was on by Zoom. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin. Had a good board meeting this morning, Attorney Austin.
Indeed, we did. We had the board there in full force, and so many board members engaged in the work that you're leading, Reverend Sharpton. And it's, I think, for many of us, being a part of the board and being able to support the efforts of you and all of the leadership and staff at NAN across the country. It was good to hear the reports of the work that's being done at our national headquarters, down in D.C. and across the country with all of our chapters, and just know that we're all staying committed and strong in this work. It was a great board meeting.
I'm going to the phones, but I want to ask a couple of policy things. The debate today in the Congress over health care bills. Of course, one is the extension of the Affordable Care Act, known popularly as Obamacare, and the other, the Republican alternative. Explain the differences in the votes, in the bills rather, and then of course the votes neither passed. But what was the differences?
So, what we need to keep in mind is that there are many Americans in New York, we're talking about millions of people, who depend upon our United States government, the federal government, to help them afford critical health care. Everyday Americans, and that's why President Obama put the Affordable Care Act in place in the first place. What has been under debate for several months now is the expiration of enhancements to premium health care subsidies. So in 2021, President Biden enhanced the eligibility levels for affordable health care subsidies. People who were families making, in some instances, more than $100,000 were able to get enhanced subsidies that they otherwise would not, more funding to help them afford health care that they otherwise might not have got. Individuals making, more than $60,000, $70,000 were able to get support for health care that they otherwise would not have gotten when President Biden, in the midst of COVID, said, let's expand these subsidies. They are ending at the end of this year, and what we all know is that there was that debate as part of the government shutdown where the Democrats wanted to make sure that these subsidies did not expire, but that they continued. And as we all know, there were several Democrats and 2 independents who joined with Republicans to end the shutdown with the hope that this is an issue that would be taken up and they'd find a way to find some type of compromise. Well, the Democrats were looking to make sure that these subsidies continued and put forth a bill to do that. It was shot down. And in turn, the Republicans, who said they want some form of health care assistance for individuals and families, put forth their own bill. Now, here's the craziness. The enhanced subsidies were providing a supplement, if you will, more funding for people who were upwards of 400% of poverty. And so what that means is for a family of 4 that needed a subsidy, you would be eligible if you were making the family was bringing home $130,000, $135,000, $140,000. They were trying to ensure that these people who are struggling, and we have research across the country that shows that even people, a family of 4, with that much money is struggling and has a hard time paying for health care. The Democrats were trying to get that through. It was shut down. The Republicans' alternative bill was going to give minuscule subsidies to people. Now, keep in mind, I just said people making 400% of poverty. That means that if the poverty level for a family of four is $32,000, that 400% of poverty takes you up to about $140,000. The Republicans put forth a bill going in the opposite direction, where you would be eligible for a subsidy if you were, are you ready? 700% under poverty. So for a family of four, at the poverty level, 32,000. 700% under poverty would mean that you have to be making literally, like, we're talking about maybe about $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 in order to be eligible for their subsidy. Fortunately, we had three Republicans who joined with Democrats in shutting down that nonsense bill. So here we are. Now, we don't have enhanced subsidies, and at the end of this year, we've got 22 million Americans that were benefiting from Biden's enhanced subsidies that now may lose health insurance. And consequently, those subsidies were helping to, those subsidies were going through healthcare insurers and including private health insurers. If those subsidies go away, what will happen not just for those 22 million Americans, but it's predicted that for other Americans who are paying full price for health care, that their premiums may go up because it's a supply and demand thing.
Right.
More people who are actually, buying health insurance, the insurance companies then, essentially like spread the cost. And so that you'll see more people buy, then it's less expensive. The fewer people that the insurance companies have buying, getting insurance from them, the premiums go up. So we're all, like many of us, are screwed by this. All because the Republicans are not trying to actually help Americans. They're pretending that they are. But when you put forth a bill that says 700% under poverty, you're actually going below the poverty level. And saying people who are
then
literally
put stipulations where they can't get the services that are needed to even change that. At one level, you condemn people for being poor. At another level, you reinforce their poverty.
Yes. It's all, you hear me, Reverend Sharpton, sometimes talk about structural economic deprivation. It's the laws, the systems, the policies that are in place to make sure that, certain of us will never really get ahead if we're continuously trying to do our part. But we got the government with these systems working to make it more difficult for us, to make our incomes work for us, to be able to access income supports, the inability to actually try to save some money and maybe build some wealth to save for a rainy day or save for our future. It keeps many of us in a perpetual state of never being able to get ahead.
Let's go to the phones right after the break. Keeping it real. Sharpton, Jones Austin. Policy Day. Be right back. All over the world today, people are gathered in love vigils to celebrate the life of a man that taught the world how to love. People may be wondering why there's such an emotional outburst, but you would have to understand the journey of Michael to understand what he meant to all of us. For these that sit here as the Jackson family, a mother and father with 9 children that rose from a working class family in Gary, Indiana. They had nothing but a dream. No one believed in those days that these kind of dreams could come true. But they kept on believing, and Michael never let the world turn him around from his dreams. I first met Michael around 1970, Black Expo,
Chicago, Illinois, Reverend Jesse Jackson, who stood by this family till now. And from that day as a cute kid to this moment, he never gave up dreaming. It was that dream that changed culture all over the world. When Michael started, it was a different world. But because Michael kept going, because he didn't accept limitations, because he refused to let people decide his boundaries, he opened up the whole world. In the music world, he put on one glove, pulled his pants up, and broke down the color curtain, where now our videos are shown and magazines put us on the cover. It was Michael Jackson that brought blacks and whites and Asians and Latinos together. It was Michael Jackson that made us sing "We Are the World" and feed the hungry long before Live Aid. Because Michael Jackson kept going, he created a comfort level where people that felt they were separate became interconnected with his music. And it was that comfort level that kids from Japan and Ghana and France and Iowa and Pennsylvania got comfortable enough with each other to later it wasn't strange to us to watch Oprah on television. It wasn't strange to watch Tiger Woods golf. Those young kids grew up from being teenage, comfortable fans of Michael to being 40 years old and being comfortable to vote for a person of color to be the president of the United States of America. Michael did that. Michael made us love each other. Michael taught us to stand with each other. There are those that like to dig around mess, but millions around the world, we're going to uphold his message. It's not about mess, it's about his love message. As you climb up steep mountains, sometimes you scar your knee. Sometimes you break your skin, but don't focus on the scars. Focus on the journey. Michael beat him. Michael rose to the top. He outsang his cynics. He outdanced his doubters. He outperformed the pessimists. Every time he got knocked down, he got back up. Every time you counted him out, he came back in. Michael never stopped. Michael never stopped. Michael never stopped. I want to say to Mrs. Jackson and Joe Jackson, his sisters and brothers, we thank you for giving us someone that taught us love, someone that taught us hope. We want to thank you because we know it was your dream too. And we know that your heart is broken. I know you have some comfort from the letter from the President of the United States and Nelson Mandela, but this was your child. This was your brother. This was your cousin. Nothing will fill your heart's loss. But I hope the love that people are showing will make you know he didn't live in vain. And I want his 3 children to know, wasn't nothing strange about your daddy. It was strange what your daddy had to deal with. But he dealt with it. He dealt with it anyway. He dealt with it for us. So some came today, Mrs. Jackson, to say goodbye to Michael. I came to say thank you. Thank you because you never stopped. Thank you because you never gave up. Thank you because you never gave out. Thank you because you tore down our divisions. Thank you because you eradicated barriers. Thank you because you gave us hope. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Michael.
Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back. 1-877-532-5797. 1-877-532-5797. Let's go back to the phone. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is. Every day, Monday through Friday, I do 3 hours a day on Keeping It Real with Reverend Al Sharpton. I do 1 hour on Sunday mornings with Reverend Al Sharpton. And I'm live on radio and TV with the Saturday Action Rally. 7 days a week, I talk to our people, hear from them, to call in. I'm sick and tired of people talking for people that they don't talk to. So go on www.nationalactionnetwork.net. Listen to my show, call in, express your opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But let's start talking to each other rather than about each other and lecturing at each other. Let's keep it real with Sharpton.
So who is Al Sharpton anyway? Who is this 33-year-old preacher without a church?
A number of black New Yorkers as well. He is little more than a pudgy exhibitionist who can be counted on to show up, bullhorn in hand, at every racial incident.
I often quote Mark Twain saying, the two most important moments in life is the moment you are born and the moment you find out why you were born. I had a very troubling conversation the other day that prompted me to do this little video. Young man that I've known a while came to me and he was crushed. I mean, really crushed, because people were criticizing his work. He's in the ministry, but he's also an actor. And he said he couldn't understand why people were jumping all over, criticizing him, trying to find scandalous and derogatory things about him. And I told him, I said, you very young. You don't know the road I've traveled. They call me everything but a child of God.
A blabbermouth, a loudmouth, too flamboyant, an agitator, a racist,
and I had to learn.
Yeah, right.
I was not defined by how others saw me. I was defined by how I saw myself and whether I was being true to myself. Some of you watching this don't like me. And it doesn't matter as long as I know what I'm doing and I like me for being real. So I'm doing this video to say to you, whoever you are and whatever you do, you may not be in ministry or so.
You're live.
But keeping it real, keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is our co-host on this policy day. Let me remind you, watch Politics Nation with Al Sharpton live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time on MSNB. I almost said the old time, on MS Now, formerly known as MSNBC. Make sure you watch both Saturday and Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We're dealing with all these issues, including what Trump is talking about. They grabbed a vessel in Venezuela, and the racism, blatant racism.
that is now being expressed by Trump going after S-hole countries, admitting finally he said it, on and on. Members of the Senate, the Congress, you're going to want to watch both nights. You that are in the New York, New Jersey, or Connecticut area, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally in Harlem at the House of Justice, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue in the village of Harlem. And, of course, we're there 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. You that are not in New York, you can watch it live on Impact Television, the only national cable, black-owned cable gospel network. And, of course, you can watch it at nationalactionnetwork.net on our live stream. Let me go to Janet in Baltimore, Maryland. Janet, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton and Attorney Jennifer Jones-Austin.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Reverend Sharpton, on this reparations, I do agree that we should get it. We should have been got it. But I think all this studying about what company and all that kind of stuff, I think it ought to be placed firmly on the shoulders of the federal government, because they allowed all of these different laws and things to be enacted and enforced, and even the ones, good laws that were on the books that would have prevented it, they allowed them to be ignored. So I think the biggest culprit is the federal government itself. Now, if they want to go after some of these banks and industries to make them pay a share, that's on them. But I think the bulk of the money, the bulk of the responsibility ought to come from the federal government.
Okay, thank you for your call. Let me go to Ray in Cincinnati, Ohio. Ray.
Yes, sir. Thanks for taking my call, Rev. This is for your guests. Here in Cincinnati, on the news this morning, I heard and I saw an ICE agent. He was brought up on charges, I guess, for assaulting his either girlfriend or wife, and they showed him in court. And my question to you is, it seems like these ICE agents, they enjoy what they're doing, beating these illegals, and some of them are legal, and dragging them out of the cars and roughing them up. My question is, once Trump get out of office and a Democrat is sworn in as the next president with a Democrat attorney general, can these ICE, unless Trump pardons all of these ICE agents, could they be brought up on past charges that happened, 2, 3, 4 years ago? From now. So, you understand what I'm saying?
I do. I think Jenny can weigh in on it. I think a lot of it would have to be whether they're brought up on state charges or federal charges, and what the statute of limitations of it would be. For example, Zoran Mandani said that he didn't rule out arresting ICE agents in New York if they went above what is legal. Well, then if he had him arrested, that would be state charges. Trump couldn't pardon him from that. He can only pardon you from federal charges. So, and I think it would be unlikely that the feds under Trump would arrest any ICE agents. So it probably would only be state charges, which he could not pardon. Now, what the statute of limitations would be according to what the crime that they're accused of committing. But Jen?
Yeah, so you're spot on. First and foremost, what you got to remember is that ICE agents they're federal law enforcement agencies, and they have authority to enforce the immigration laws. They can interrogate people. They can make arrests. But if you are beating up somebody, you got to think about it along the lines of police brutality and police misconduct. Even though we have a hard time when it comes to police misconduct against Black Americans, it's not legal. ICE agents they're not legally authorized to beat up and attack people. They don't have that authority. And so it all comes down to prosecution. And as Reverend Sharpton said, the statute of limitations. And now, if you're in a state, let me back up. What I'm trying to say to you is that they can't be brought up on charges if they're doing their jobs under the authority given them. if they are exceeding the authority given them, right? If they have authority to arrest and they are doing that without, engaging in brutality and misconduct, then they're not going to be brought up on charges after that. If Trump goes away and they're still trying to do things and they don't have federal authority or state's authority, they can be brought up on charges for that. But at all times, if you exceed your authority and you're beating up people, that's against the law. So you could be brought up on charges, but as Reverend Sharpton said, the federal government's not going to do that right now. In the states, you might have a Mamdani or someone else in New York City or elsewhere who says, okay, you violated state criminal law,
right,
and I'm going to take action against you. So yes. So my point to you is that they cannot be charged if they are acting within the federal law enforcement authority given them right now. But once they exceed that authority, and beating up people is not within their authority, exceeding their authority, the charges can be brought against them. If it happens in New York City, New York State, it could be state law because they're violating state criminal law. The federal government is not going to take action. Another president might, but this president wouldn't.
Thanks, Rev.
All right, thank you. Let's go to the sage from the South, Brother Jihad. Brother Jihad.
Yes. Good afternoon to both of you.
Good afternoon.
Reverend Sharpton, and Ms. Jenny might not know this based on whether she was listening to the conversation earlier. Two things, if I could. One of the callers talked about Noam Chomsky and some other people doing some negative comments about black people years ago. My question is this, because I keep hearing this analysis. If we're going to hold, the question is, what does Noam Chomsky say today about black people? What is his position and those people's positions today?
Mm-hmm.
Because if the standard is going to be what somebody did before, then what people were saying about Biden 30 years ago and his participation in that crime, we should have held Biden to that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I just don't want the caller seems to try to it's something that the caller is pushing that's not really quite clear. And in order for it to be clear, we have to know what's his beef today with Chomsky, and if Chomsky and those particular people today have an anti-Israel point of view or anti-point of view on this particular situation, because it seems that if we go back to, we can hold Chomsky responsible, and even the person he talked about who had us, that's in the, Jeffrey Epstein situation, we could hold them responsible for what they did with Jeffrey Epstein, but if they're not doing anything anti-black today, then I'm not going to hold him responsible for a Negro or an N-word comment 40 years ago, 30 years ago. And his work on behalf of black people has been positive since then, but his own personal, and we know there are many people, Reverend Al, who do great work in one thing, but in their sexual perversions, they off the chain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We just might not know about it. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
I didn't understand that particular position. And please, Reverend Al, on this other topic of reparation, stay the course, because the course was whether or not the Democratic Party and the people today are doing something.
Right.
What they can do today.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because if you notice, we can have this conversation on reparation forever, and everybody got an idea. And matter of fact, most of the people that's calling your station don't even know there's a reparation conference going on now. And all of the things that they're asking their brothers who have put whole reparations programs and policies.
That's right. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So the idea that the issue wasn't that you don't believe in reparation or that I don't believe in reparation. Of course we believe in reparation. But what we're saying is right now, today, the issues, the policies, the situations that are facing us today, let's solve them. You know what I mean? Because we could have this reparation argument another 100 years based on everything I said. One lady called and said, well, we got to prove that you ain't got no white people in you.
We'll be, our great-great-grandchildren will be dead. You still be arguing that. That's right. No, I totally agree. I totally agree.
Yeah,
all right.
All I wanted to
Thank you for your call. Let's take a break. We'll be right back. More of us keeping it Real Sharpton, Austin, right after this.
This is the first Thanksgiving I'm here in New York. Over 20 years. I'm just glad to be here with Rev today and to hand out the food. It's a blessing. It's a blessing. It's a blessing.
It's Erica Ford, the Peace Doctor in the building. Here at the National Action Network, it's about thanks, it's about giving, it's about gratitude, it's about love. I feel it is important for you to understand that there's work out here to be done, but it starts with gratitude, it starts with giving, it starts with peace, it starts with love. Let's go.
Before we feed our family, we got to make sure that we feed the community. That's right. That's what it's all about. We got to come with Sharpton phones. You come and you make sure you show up, serve the community. That's what it's all about.
Some of you forget where you come from and forget how you got there and act like you got there because you were qualified or that you had a good resume. But some of us had to pay a price for your resume to even be read. Some of us had to take nights in jails and licks upside the head or shut out of boardrooms like Byron so you could walk down red carpets and act like you got there by yourself. So I received this award with a special place in my heart and on my shelf because I'm getting it from a freedom fighter who never forgot where he came from and how he got there. Yes, we've come a long way. We've had now a black president and now a black vice president. But we still can get shot down and have to march to get a case in court. We still can get shut out of boardrooms. We're still doubly unemployed in a good economy. So we're going to have to keep marching. And I thank not only my family, a mother that raised me by herself, but I thank that lady at the end of the march that knows she won't be on TV that night and knows her name will never be in the paper, but she believed in me enough to get at the end of the line and make me look good. Because Dr. King used to say, if you call a march and no one shows up, you just going for a walk. And I want to thank those that marched with me. 32 years ago, here in Los Angeles, we marched. And then many years later, with George Floyd and others, we're still marching. And I'm going to keep marching. I'm going to keep agitating. And I'm going to keep going. Until we don't have to do it anymore. Eddie, known you a long time. Mariah, Chris, and your kids. And I promise you this. The only thing that I really live for is I get up with this dream that every bigot, every racist, everyone in this country that hates will say, damn, he's up again.
It's been a long time coming, but I know
1968. Dr. Martin King was killed in Memphis, Tennessee. And it has been the commitment of National Action Network to always, in the month he was killed, to let them know they killed the dreamer.
Because I have a dream today.
They can't kill the dreamer.
I'm here because I must be here. Democracy is not there for the pig, and you have to fight for democracy. That's what it is. What Trump will erase, we will replace.
Is the dreamers in many cases have reversed and tried to turn it into a nightmare. We come to Wall Street rather than Washington this year to let them know you can try to turn back the clock, but you can't turn back time. We gonna keep the dream alive on Wall Street.
Rev, you know you were right there
From the beginning.
with the stuff that
Yep.
was going on in Brooklyn at that time, at Howard Beach. You were right there.
He had in one of the early movies, he had my name. Then he put me in Malcolm, and I wasn't even old enough to know Malcolm. So we've been through it all.
For those who see Malcolm X, it's 3 hours. But fast forward to the scene yourself,
Yep.
Bobby Seale.
Right. Bobby Seale, Denzel, and me.
Yeah.
Denzel was on the set.
Now let me ask a question.
Yep.
What was your weight on that scene?
I probably about 270. I was bigger then.
Yeah.
Still had the hair, man.
Yeah, you had the head on.
Yeah, it was
Denzel, yourself, and Bobby Seale.
Yeah, all in one scene.
And also, there was no cut, so we went like this.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Only Spike could have done that.
It's my brother right here.
My baby.
Brooklyn's in the house.
Yes, sir.
Brooklyn's in the house.
BK. I would argue that DEI is a result of those that by law and later by enforcement would not deal with diversity, would not deal with including people of color, gender, sexual orientation, as well as disabled. And the conscious effort by government and the private sector to begin to equalize the opportunities of this country was something that makes it more humane and fair for all of us. To DEI, diversify, is not based on the lack of merit. We could not show our merit because we were pompous conservatives that talk about we want a society based on merit. Well then, if it's based on merit, then why did you discriminate based on race and gender? If they cut off much of the population.
Keeping it real. I am your host, Reverend Al Sharpton, and we're back
And let me give breaking news. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin, a grand jury has rejected a third attempt to indict Letitia James in Virginia. So it looks like no matter how many ways they go, they will not indict her again in this this border line
Wow.
grand jury. That's good news.
Excellent news. Excellent news. And they just, what they're showing is that they're actually working against themselves now. By they, I'm referring to Donald Trump and his cronies in the Department of Justice, because what they are actually proving to grand jury participants is that this really is a case of selective prosecution and a vindictive prosecution, because you keep coming when you don't have the evidence to substantiate your claims of bank fraud and mortgage fraud, despite, people, everyday American citizens saying there's no there. But you keep coming, and so it shows that you have an effort and I guess a motive that is other than really advancing justice. And you're just misusing taxpayer dollars at this point.
No doubt about it. Let's go. It's policy day. Let's go to Todd in Cleveland, Ohio. Todd, you're keeping it real with Al Sharpton.
Hey, Reverend Al Sharpton, Jennifer Jones Austin. In quick response to what you were just talking about, there is no end that a malicious confusion monger will go to when they have someone else or some other group of people to fight their cause for them, especially when it's for free. And that's what that's about right there. They're gonna keep pushing it because they don't have to pay for the service to get the push move forward. You follow me? There's no claim. There's no legitimate charge against that woman. Let it go. So this directly affects you, Reverend Sharpton. It affects everybody, but it directly affects you if you haven't already seen this article. Catherine Schaefer, formerly of the Pew Research Center, wrote an article January 9th of 2024, and the article is entitled U.S. population of centenarians projected to quadruple within the next 30 years. 30 years, that's going to be your number, right? You'll be 100.
Right.
Okay. And it's probably true.
And I'm going to try to make it. I'm going to try to make it, too.
Yeah, you need to get past that. You need to try to get past it. But there's 108,000 today, and that means 432,000 by then. And that means the number of 90-year-olds is going to go up significantly, and the number of 85-year-olds is going to go up significantly too. I'll be right in that group of 85-plus-year-olds right around in the next 30 years. So I'll be right up on it. And I think this is something we should be talking about, that particular article and what it's going to take to get there through government services assistance. And that's why the Affordable Health Care Act is important. That's one of the main reasons why the Affordable Health Care Act is important to me. And what's it going to take to maintain yourself and at minimal the social economic middle class wherever you are. And so this is a conversation that should be had. And had either one of you read that article from January 9th of last year?
I haven't, but I understand the spirit of it. And I think that it raises a very interesting point that I'd like you to weigh in, Jenny, and even you, Todd. And that is that a lot of the Social Security and retirement programs and other things that came into place was coming into place when the life expectancy in the United States was much lower than it is
67.
now. Yeah, well, 67 years old, retirement and all. Now that people are working later in life, including me, and living later in life, there needs to be a serious discussion on how we legislatively adjust to that reality without taking away the pronounced services that people expected I mean, I don't know how you slice that apple.
My belief is that the benefits of the Affordable Health Care Act, as it currently is, the healthy benefits of it, contribute directly to somebody making that far and maintaining themselves. Now, I also believe the Affordable Health Care Act needs some major changes done to it, major changes. But the fact that it exists in a way so that just basic things that people couldn't necessarily get before, dental care, if you're poor, poor dental care will shorten your life for sure. Being able to go to a certain amount of checkups that you weren't able to get checked up on before, and it's motivated some insurance companies to be more benevolent in what they give their customers, such as gift cards and things such as that. That may not be acquired through if you have affordable health care and motivated insurance, but they are motivated by that pursuit. So I'm like, this we need to get into this because 80 years old, there's very few companies that want you to come and work for them, which means you're going to need some money. A lot of people, once they get across that mark, however they're living socioeconomically as far as money in their pocket, they sure don't want all their bedrooms on the second floor, and they want some bathrooms on the first floor and a bedroom on the first floor, and it's going to cost more, and the medicine's going to cost more. And I track prices on medicines and vitamins over the last 50 years, and nothing's gone down. Nothing. Now, one thing is going down in price unless you catch a sale, and usually the sale is the price that it was 10 years ago, which means it ain't gone down. So it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to make it that long. You may be still taking care of people to some degree. You may be contributing to the well-being of your grandson and other grandchildren, although you're not supporting them. You have money to contribute, as they will have money to contribute to you. I don't have any grandchildren yet. Mine haven't reproduced any grandchildren yet, but they're coming, I'm sure. They're coming, I'm sure.
No, I think that we definitely need to get into this, as you say, and I think that it is a serious. It borders on being a civilization crisis in this country.
It is.
Yeah, if we don't get on.
Yeah.
And
as I listen to the. I'm sorry, sir.
Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was just going to say that you're spot on, and I think about it the same way the way we talk about, and we talked a lot about this under the Biden administration, the need for the Infrastructure Rehabilitation Act. Looking around the country and looking at these bridges and tunnels, and highways that needed to be rebuilt and a reinvestment. That's the same thing that we're now seeing with a lot of these programs that were stood up. When Social Security was established in the 1930s, it was just with an understanding that we needed to make sure that as people aged, that they were economically secure to stave off poverty at an older age. But now, because you've got so many people living longer, they are exhausting Social Security, and we haven't gone back and looked at how we fix these systems and update them.
Let's take a break. Let's take a break. Be right back. Keeping it real. Sharpton, Jones, Austin. Be right back. Oh, do I seem excited? I am excited because this Saturday, the National Action Network Saturday Action Rally starts live on WBLS 107.5 FM in New York. We're going to expand. Every Saturday morning, we're live on WBLS 107.5 from 10 a.m. to 11. You'll hear the message. You'll feel the energy. You'll be involved. You won't be sitting around talking about, oh my God, look at what's happening. You'll be involved in dealing with what's happening. I'm excited, and you should be excited too. Turn on WBLS 10 a.m. every Saturday morning. I have a message for you, and if you want to, you can come to the House of Justice and be there live, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue. We kick off at 9, and we don't stop until we deal with getting our people energized.
sense of who we are is essential to what made this nation. We built this nation. We made this nation. We created the essential dollars that this nation lives off of. We don't care what bill they pass. We will not back up. We will not back down. We will not give in. We will not be chased out. We don't care who's in the White House. We will organize our house, house by house. We came over the Middle Passage. We survived slavery. We survived Jim Crow. Don't you give up now. Don't you turn back now. Stand up, black man. Stand up, black woman. Reclaim your dignity. Reclaim your place. So we stand with the Black Global Black Economic Forum. We stand with Essence Magazine because that's who we are. So don't give in now. Yes, there's some rough days, but we've been through rougher days than this. Yes, Trump is a bad dude, but we beat badder dudes than Trump. So let's party with a purpose, because our rhythm and our music reminds us who we are. Because we can smile through our pain and organize for our gain. Let's stand up and let's celebrate who we are. Thank you, God bless you.
Joining James Brown, Muhammad Ali, and myself now from New York City is the Reverend Al Sharpton. And Mr. Brown, James, I'd like to ask you about this young man, how you came to meet him, and what the National Youth Movement, which he represents, is all about. Tell me something about that.
It's about teaching young kids the right way to go, and the things to be involved in education. Don't be a dropout, which is one thing I'm very much behind. Unless kids have guidance, they have no place to go. And the idea is to try to mold them. I mean, we think of anything, we think of it as a baby. And what we mold it to be is what it will be later on. He used to stand at my back door, and he believed in what I said, the Don't Be a Dropout program, and the fact of helping kids and giving the right idol and the right image to go with, cleaning, grooming, and wanting to work, wanting to be something. I started as a kid, a juvenile delinquent, and everything. Had no model. And I was able to be a model for a young man like this. And what he turned out to be is a minister, and he preaches the right thing, and I'm for him 1,000%. I'm for everything he's about.
Mr. Sharpton, how national right now is the National Youth Movement? Is it something new? Has it been going on for a while? Do you have a stated number of members? Tell me something about it.
Well, we don't really get into a numbers game, because that's been a trick that has been played for the last 20 years. What we're basically interested in doing is saying to young people of impoverished backgrounds that there are people like a Muhammad Ali and a James Brown that represents hope to us. Because these people, despite all of the social odds, despite the unemployment statistics, despite the lack of education in their day, were able to grow and be something that we can be proud of. A man like me didn't have a father at home, but I had a James Brown to look up to and would want to sing and dance like him, or Muhammad Ali, who I saw stand up and give away millions of dollars of stamps to the government so that I would have a right to come 10 or 20 years later and try to fight for my kids. So what we're saying is there are symbols and images that kids can look up to and not have to throw a brick through a window, but that can work by the sweat of their brow and succeed, just like these two gentlemen did.
But considering the numbers of young kids today, and Rev, there are hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of kids who really are in hopeless and desperate situations, is it enough to just offer them an example?
You say hopeless, though. Not hopeless.
Well, let's say, well, to them, 10, 11, 12-year-old kids,
it's never hopeless. There's no such thing as hopeless. It's never hopeless. When I got 8 to 16 years for breaking and entering, as a kid because I was hungry, and here I am today. It's not hopeless. Don't say hopeless. Then we say we're carving out. I don't believe in hopeless. Don't you think it's hope? If you believe in something, try. No such hopeless. I don't believe in hopeless. We're not gonna go with that. And I think he's not about teaching them how to get out and fight for themselves. That's what it's about. No, it's not hopeless. Everybody has a cause and everything, but everybody want to live. And I think living is what we're about. We're not going to teach dying. Hopeless is dying.
I agree with you 100%, James. But what I'm trying to ask here is simply saying you too can be a James Brown or a Muhammad Ali. Is that enough to give a kid who's hungry, who doesn't know where his next meal is coming?
You ready, sir?
Give him somewhere to go.
I think it's overweak to tell a kid.
Keeping it real, keeping it real. Keeping it real. I'm your host, Reverend Al Sharpton. Attorney Jennifer Jones Austin is our co-host. Don't forget Politics Nation. I just talked to, just watch Politics Nation, 5 p.m. Eastern Time, Saturday and Sunday. I talked to someone you're going to want to see. I did not ask whether I could publicize it. Yes, I'm not going to get the name, but we're going to have 2 big shows this weekend. Make sure you watch. Saturday and Sunday, 5 p.m. Eastern on MS Now, formerly MSNBC. And then, of course, Saturday, you that are in the New York, New Jersey, Connecticut area, meet me or beat me to the Saturday Action Rally in Harlem at the House of Justice, 145th Street and Lenox Avenue in the village of Harlem. I'm there 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And, of course, you that are not in the New York vicinity, you can watch it live on Impact Television. Let's go to Al in Rochester. Al?
Greetings, Rev. Can you hear me?
I hear you now, yes.
All right. Just wanted to make a couple of comments. First of all, never in the history of the United States have we had a president who lies so much. I call him a shapeshifter. That's my personal opinion. Secondly, the Epstein file. Instead of depending, and I need your opinion on this, instead of depending on these documents, files, so forth, why don't they just let the women testify? Why don't they let them tell who was on that island? I'm quite sure they can identify every last one of them, all the way down to a birthmark on their behind. What's your opinion on that?
Okay, I think on the surface, what you're saying, and I want you to weigh in on this, Jenny, because you're a lawyer. On the surface, it sounds right. But the one thing that I think that we need to keep in mind is the files, even if the women could testify and identify, they cannot necessarily know the arrangements that brought them there, the arrangements that brought whoever abused them was there, the background conversations, text messages, emails, or whatever it may be. And some of them were so young, Al, we don't know if they could identify everyone that violated them, that the files may be able to help. You got to remember now, many of them were underage, and we're talking 20, 30, 40 years later. So many of them may not know that this guy ended up being the secretary of some department in government, or this guy ended up being a prince in England. And so I don't know how thorough we could get there, Jenny.
Yeah, I think the other part we've got to keep in mind is that when you're looking at criminal actions and in investigations as well as in trials, it isn't, and I'm not suggesting that you're saying it is, sir, but it isn't a requirement that the victims testify. Because essentially the prosecution is on the part of the state. Now, what victims can often do is provide the evidence that supports, the investigation, or if there would be criminal prosecution. In this case, it's hard. You can do it against Epstein because he's no longer living. But, the reason why they haven't mandated that they testify or, be part of the investigation is because that is not what is like a requirement in such proceedings. Victims are not forced to testify in criminal cases. It's a prosecution by the government. And so they can be invited to, or if they want to, but, and this is why you had in some instances, you had victim impact statements in the Epstein case, and some of them were anonymous. Maybe they would do that again, but very often it's to protect the privacy of the individual and not to sometimes reinforce the trauma.
Well, can I make one more statement? Bill Cosby, for example, incidents that happened years and years ago, witness testimony, and so forth. I've noticed this pattern, and the reason I'm saying this, I've noticed this pattern with Donald Trump. He made a statement, alleged statement to Representative Green. I don't know how true it is, but, a lot of people are going to get in trouble. A lot of people going to be in hot water. Everything he does, he tries to thwart justice. I hope you understand where I'm coming from.
No, I do. And he is quoted by Congresswoman Green, who was a huge ally of his, of having said that. There's no doubt about the question. She said it. And there's no doubt about his behavior in trying to obstruct any process of moving forward to release all the files and whatever names would be implicated. His behavior has acted in line with what she says that he said, in my opinion. I don't think you can get around that.
Exactly. And the last thing I'd like to say, when I was younger growing up, our teachers in grade school, we had televisions in our room. Every now and then we'd watch certain programs. They'd turn on the president. This man goes on television, national television, using all kind of foul language. Why doesn't somebody put him in check? You got the FCC. They haven't said, they'll attack you, Reverend, but they won't say nothing to him.
Absolutely. No, I think here and again, and thank you for your call, here and again is why we are saying voting matters. Because the FCC, Federal Communications Commission, that will reprimand me, or reprimand anybody on broadcast, television, or radio, they will not reprimand him because he appointed most of the commissioners, because he is the elected president of the United States. And for all of the people that said it didn't matter whether he or Kamala got in, the fact that we are now seeing mergers of major media companies that we get our news, our entertainment, our sports all from, are now being corralled by him and those he put there. If we are not careful, we will not have but a one-track politic in this country because you will not have the ability to communicate and surface any. And I bring up when MSNBC spun off from Comcast and still maintains its ability to take pro and con positions on Trump. There was the attempt now, we hear, with the attempt merger to deal with the question of Paramount and their bidding against the Netflix and all of this. I'm trying to remember all the specific companies. Part of that is one of them owns CBS, Paramount, CBS owns CNN. And the reporting is that Trump is saying, if I help get my guys at FCC to give the merger to you, will you clamp down on all the anti-Trump stuff on CNN? I mean, so you're dealing with, you don't have a free press if we're down to that. that you've got to agree to praise the sitting president or at least not be critical in order to get a federal license that belongs to the citizens of the country, the airwaves. This is scary, but it's happening in broad daylight.
And then, as you talk, Reverend Sharpton, I agree with everything you're saying. And then I think to myself, and the hypocrisy that he says he's going after the Venezuelan head, Maduro, because of his authoritarianism, that he is essentially like shutting down democracy. Now, I'm not saying that the man isn't engaging in those practices in Venezuela, but isn't it the same thing that Trump is attempting to do here in America? But he's got to address it over there. But he gets to do it here.
Which is why also
make sense.
Which is why also, and I said this at our national board meeting this morning, I tried to avoid a lot of the little local squabbles because I think that a lot of us are missing the bigger picture, that the localities that we're in are going to be governed by, and we're not going to be able to fight them because they will already be entrenched nationally, and it will be federal law. If they cut off certain access to information on certain stations to get mergers, that's going to affect everybody listening to me now. So we will argue why somebody didn't come to a fish fry for Alderman so-and-so, and they'll say, and Sharpton didn't deal with it, because I'm trying to stop them from polluting a merger that's going to have hundreds of millions of Americans blindly following policies that will, in many ways, enable all of us. And I'm trying to get people to understand we all have different lanes. That's why we have chapters. Chapters of NAN should deal with local issues, and local issues must be dealt with. I'm not saying they shouldn't be. But I think that we all need to understand how massive and how far-reaching this threat is that Donald Trump is given. It is enormous. All right, I hear the music. I'm going to have to go. Let me thank Attorney Jennifer Jones-Austin. Let me thank all of you that called in, listened in, you that called in and couldn't get through, but hung in there anyhow. Remember, whatever you do, wherever you go, however you feel, tell somebody, tell anybody, tell everybody. Reverend Al told you personally, keep it real. Keep it real. Keep it real. Talk to you tomorrow.